This is Noise from the Cranium. My name is Doug, and in this episode I'm going to delve into the fascinating career of Todd Rundgren, a multi-talented musician from Philadelphia, who aside from being a singer, songwriter, and well-respected and sought-after producer, is a pioneer of electronic music, music video production, computer software, and online music distribution. For all his successes and innovations, he has mostly managed to keep his name under the radar of the majority of music lovers. Focusing on one aspect of Todd's varied career, I'm going to look at his role in the recording studio as engineer and producer. In pop music over the years, certain producers have struck gold countless times, getting on a roll and finding a groove that puts them in the spotlight. They have a hit, then hit on a formula that strikes a chord with the public, where it seems, like King Midas, everything they touch turns to gold. Quincy Jones, Mutt Lange, and Phil Spector are several well-known producers that fall into this category. Todd Rundgren, although a lesser-known name, could certainly be added to this list. You may not have heard of Todd Rundgren, but chances are if you've been to a sporting event in the last 20 years, you've heard at least one of his songs. Rundgren began as a musician in the mid-60s and gained minor success with the psychedelic band Nas in 1968. The band was patterned after the British invasion bands like the Beatles, The Who, the Yardbirds, and the Small Faces. While recording the first Nas album, Rundgren, then 20 years old, had an insatiable curiosity regarding the actual production of the record. He began experimenting in the studio, remixing the album, and in the process, learning how to use the mixing board. In 1969, tiring of band dynamics and politics, Todd quit Nas and moved to New York to become a music producer. Through a mutual acquaintance, Todd was recommended to Albert Grossman, who was the manager for Janis Joplin, Bob Dylan, and Gordon Lightfoot, among others. As fate would have it, Grossman was starting his own studio and record label in Woodstock and was looking for staff to work there. Through that connection, Todd became the house producer at Bearsville Studios. After engineering an album for Jesse Winchester, Todd came to the attention of the band's Robbie Robertson, who secured his services as engineer for the band's third album, Stage Fright, providing Rundgren with his first high-profile job.
Go out yonder, he's in the valley, come downtown.
His experimentation and do-it-yourself attitude led to an uncanny and natural technique in the control room. As with many true innovators, Rundgren had no formal training in studio engineering or production. Instead, he threw the book out the window and relied on his ears, his intuition, and his good taste and strong opinions on what he thought sounded best. He quickly became a sought-after studio whiz kid, gaining the reputation for working fast and achieving amazing results. In the meantime, Todd had continued writing songs and talked Albert Grossman into letting him release a solo album, simply called Runt. The album spawned Todd's first hit record, We Gotta Get You a Woman, which reached number 20 on the Billboard charts. In 1971, as his reputation grew, Rundgren was hired to rescue an album that had been over a year in the making. George Harrison had run into difficulty working on the third Badfinger album, eventually called Straight Up, as he got involved with Ravi Shankar in the charity concert for Bangladesh. As a result, Badfinger's record label were looking for a producer who could work fast, on budget, and on schedule. Rundgren was brought in to salvage the project. Although the album was completed by Todd in under 2 weeks, he raised the ire of the Badfinger members who didn't appreciate his commanding presence in the studio. However, you can't argue with the results, as the album had 2 hit singles, Day After Day and Baby Blue.
Yes, I got what I deserve. Kept you waiting there too long, my love.
Todd's successes as a producer spurred him on to continue his solo career, with his double album Something Anything being completed in 1972. Todd produced the album, recorded all the instruments and vocals on the first 3 sides, leaving side 4 for live studio jams with New York session players. The album garnered 3 hit songs, Couldn't I Just Tell You, which became an influential power pop song, I Saw the Light, and Hello It's Me, a song reworked from his old band Naz, which made it to number 5 on the Billboard charts.
Something's wrong. There's something here that doesn't last too long.
Hailed as a masterpiece, Something Anything was ranked 173 on Rolling Stone's list of 500 greatest albums of all time, and signaled a bright future in pop for Rundgren. However, Todd was too restless for that. Not wanting to repeat himself, he instead followed up with A Wizard, a True Star, which alienated most of the fans he won with Something Anything. Interestingly, Rundgren often took artists who had skimmed along the periphery of the music business and boosted their careers to new levels with the production work he did for them. Case in point was Funk Railroad. They were quite successful during the late 60s and early 70s, having a few songs on FM radio and selling out stadium tours, but they didn't trouble the singles chart and failed to get any respect from critics. Their records had been badly produced, giving them the reputation of being a mediocre band. They fired their manager, and the new management brought in Todd Rundgren to provide the band with the slickly produced sound that would garner them the respect they craved. In fact, they wanted Todd so much they paid him $50,000 to do it, which was a new record at the time. The result was We're an American Band, an album and single that launched Grand Funk to new heights, with the single reaching number 1 and the album reaching number 2 on the Billboard charts. Composer Jim Steinman and vocalist Meatloaf had been working on a batch of songs for a couple of years. They had shopped them around and been unceremoniously rejected by every record company they approached. The music was too theatrical. It wouldn't translate well to record. The songs didn't fit the current music styles. They heard every excuse in the book. Finally, in late 1975, the pair performed a live audition of the songs for Todd Rundgren to see if he would produce it. He found the songs hilarious, thinking it was a spoof of Bruce Springsteen. He immediately agreed to do the album, as it was so out there he felt he had to do it. After rehearsing the album for about 10 days, the record company pulled out of the deal, forcing Rundgren to underwrite the initial recording costs of $75,000 himself. Once the recording was completed, the hunt was on to find a record company to release it. It took 6 months, but a small label finally took the album almost 4 years after the project was started. It didn't do well initially, and the first 2 singles flopped. When the video for Bat Outta Hell was shown on the music show The Old Grey Whistle Test in England, the reaction of the British record-buying public was immediate, as a huge spike in record sales occurred. In 1978, Meatloaf returned to the Whistle Test to perform a live version of Paradise by the Dashboard Light.
Well, I remember every little thing as if it happened only yesterday. Walking by the lake and there was not another car inside. And I never had a girl looking any better than you did. And all the kids at school, they were wishing they were me that night. And now our bodies are so close and tight. It never felt so good, it never felt so right.
Meatloaf toured relentlessly to support the album, which finally started gaining traction, particularly in foreign markets, with the UK, Australia, and Europe catching on to the brilliance of the record.
Paradise
16 months after the record was released, the song Bat Outta Hell was edited down to a single and became a hit in England.
Like a bat out of hell, I'll be gone when the morning comes. But when the night is over,
The album stayed on the charts for over 9 years and has sold over 43 million copies, making it one of the best-selling albums in history. In a clever move, Rundgren later sold his royalty rights back to Meatloaf, took the payout to purchase a property in Hawaii, where he lives to this day. Over the years, Todd has produced albums for such wide-ranging artists as Sparks, the New York Dolls, Steve Hillage, the Tubes, the Tom Robinson Band, Patti Smith Group, Rick Derringer, Sean Cassidy, the Psychedelic Furs, Cheap Trick, XTC, and The Pursuit of Happiness. While doing all of this, Todd maintained a very active recording career, releasing solo albums and albums with his band Utopia, and touring on a regular basis. An enigmatic artist, he veered off into experimental areas and was never satisfied simply creating pop hits, which helped to deliver him to the fringes of the music scene. This has been Noise from the Cranium. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you next time.